Hi everyone, Mr. Peabody here. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that you really don't want to hear about because it's called cyclic vomiting syndrome. It's something I've actually had for the last, since the end of 2016, and it's fluctuated over the years, but now it's down to like a bi-weekly thing where basically every week I have the problem. So you'll have a normal phase where you're perfectly fine. For me, that lasts between 4 and 7 days, and then I'll get severe nausea. I won't be able to settle. I can't really settle to sleep, and it's all there. They've actually written up everything that I actually go through. I just don't want to do a PowerPoint presentation here. I just want to tell you what it's like for me. So I'll be normal, completely normal, and then out of the blue, sometimes it's out of the blue, and sometimes I can feel it coming on. But either way, I will start to get sick. Right. So the blue stage they've got there, that is true, but it's not always there. Sometimes you jump straight to the green stage, and that's the green stage where, out of the blue, you weren't sick the day before, and you'll start vomiting. And the usual cycle for me is about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be asleep, and I'll wake up and yak my guts up, and then I'll try to lay back down. Right, I'll be really, really thirsty. I will sip water, but sipping water sometimes makes it worse. But I'll be really thirsty. I'll try to drink the water. An hour later, I'll throw up again, whether there's something in my stomach or not. I will retch. I'll dry vomit, and it's hour after hour. So I'll try to lie back down, but I can't, and that'll happen all night. And then I get to the morning, and it might ease off a little bit, but my stomach feels like absolute trash. I can't even look at food. They show all these adverts on TV for food. Every time I see that, I have to shield my eyes because I can't even look at food. I won't touch food, and this stage usually lasts between 3 to 5 days. It used to last 3 days, but these days it's between 4 and 5 days. So it changes all the time. And so that's days where, 1, I can't sleep, 2, I can't eat, and I can barely drink water. So you can see that in stage 2 it says, extreme thirst, and in stage 3 you can see extreme thirst. Yeah, because everything you put in, your body says, no, you can't have it, I'm getting rid of it, and it comes straight back out. So of course, in those stages, you're feeling very weak, you're feeling very vulnerable, you basically can't do much at all, and you just feel like absolute trash. And in that stage, I don't even talk to people. The only person I talk to is my ma. She calls me because she knows when I get sick, she calls me every day. So I don't go online. I don't chat to people, so that's why I go quiet, and I feel bad that I do that, but I feel like such rubbish that I don't want to communicate at all. And then, of course, in amongst all that, you've got the hot flushes. I do have hot flushes, but I call them cold sweats, because I'm basically freezing. My body says I'm cold, yet I rug up and I sweat like a pig. And I'll give you an example. I mean, this sounds gross, I know, but I'll wear a t-shirt to bed and I'll have to change that t-shirt several times during the night because it's saturated. Even though I'm not actually having any intake with water, my body's getting rid of it. And of course, that's uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I throw on the bed. It doesn't matter how many jumpers I wear or jackets. I'm cold. And let me take it back to what I believed was the original problem, which I brought up to the doctors, and they tested this and they tested that, they basically did a whole roundabout. They tried me on all these different drugs. They tried me on these different treatments. They examined me from head to toe. They gave me all these procedures, up the and down the, and then they put me onto a specialist, and the specialist wanted to start from scratch. No, I'm not doing all this stuff again. You've got all the data in front of you, and every time I changed doctors, the first thing they jumped on was, "What drugs are you taking?" I'm not taking any drugs. Look at my blood tests. I've got numerous blood tests. They've taken blood many times. I don't take drugs. And the first thing they want to do, if you switch to another doctor, is they send you for a blood test. It's like, well, what's wrong with the blood tests I've already had? If you want to test me for drugs, test me for drugs. Go ahead. Try all you like. You will not find any. But that's the first thing they jump to. They automatically assume that you're doing something that causes this whole problem. I'm not doing anything. My body's doing funky shit. But I didn't have anything to do with it. But let's go back to the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve controls a whole lot of shit in your body, which includes a whole lot of stuff to do with your digestive system and how your nerves react. It branches out. It's a big part of your nervous system. And if a little bit of that is askew, as a problem, a tiny little problem with your vagus nerve, that can throw a whole lot of stuff out. And that can affect your temperature regulation, your digestive system, your swallowing, your breathing, and your overall mental health. That's where the panic comes in. Impending doom. I've suffered with panic attacks years behind me, and I still get a lot of anxiety. But I've dealt with that, so I don't so much get the impending doom. The panic I do, and it's usually in the middle of the night when you don't want to call anyone because you don't want to wake them up and bother them. That's when it all happens, in the middle of the night. Yeah, talk about time convenient, but also with me, it can change times of day. Sometimes it's in the morning. Sometimes, as I said, usually it starts at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and it goes all through the night, and then it peters off by about 10 o'clock in the morning, right? But sometimes it starts in the afternoon and goes into the night, and then that's it. I'm screwed for the whole night. You know that I hold off going to sleep. I do hold off going to sleep because, especially when I'm sick, I know as soon as I wake up, I've got to go through all this shit again. And that one of the hardest things to go through when you're doing this, when you can't look at food, when you can't touch food for several days, and your body is starving, the hardest thing to do is to start to put stuff into you again. You've got to do it in tiny little bits. I usually start with vegetable juice, very small amounts of vegetable juice. Then I'll work my way up to soup, and then after a day or two, I can move on to solid food. That's an achievement. And then I'm on solid food for a few days, and then the whole thing goes to pot again. And it's like, I can't tell you how frustrating it is. I can't organise anything. I can't say from one day to the next whether I can. If you called me up today and say, "Hey, tomorrow we're going to do this. Do you want to come along?" I wouldn't be able to give you an answer. If I might wing it. I might wing it and go and see how it is. But I mean, like, if I get sick halfway through it, I'm going to be a flop, and you're not going to want me around. You know, my confidence level is through the fucking toilet, and and but all this shit, all the stuff that they actually got listed here, that's what happens. And as I said, I'm not going to do a PowerPoint and read it all off to you. I hope you wouldn't mind, taking a couple of minutes and have a bit of a squiz yourself. All of that stuff happens, and I'm just explaining this because I go quiet and I go dark, and sometimes I'm an ass. I'm a real ass. But I am frustrated, and this happens, as I said, on a weekly basis. You know, usually cyclic vomiting, it usually happens to children, and they usually grow out of it. It can be late onset, and usually that's almost annual. So they'll go through like a couple of months where they're having the cyclic vomiting, and it'll subside. Mine is on a weekly basis. So my vagus nerve must be really screwed. But as I said, sometimes you can feel it coming on. Like this bout, I'm actually going through a bout now, and I could feel that coming. I knew that one was coming. The bout I had before that was surprise. Anyway, I'm just letting you know that I'm frustrated. I'm having trouble with this. I will get through it. It will ease, but it's a pain in the ass.